I put my trust in you, and I trust in love. I put my trust in you, I put my trust in love. I put my trust in you, and I trust in love. I put my trust in you, I put my trust in love.
Hello, friends. My name is Dave Miller.
And I'm Mal Spain. And we're your fuck buddies.
We are a dating and sex advice podcast where we take your sticky, sexy situations and turn them into sexy, sticky situations.
Simply put, we find questions either online or from our incredible listeners, and we answer them right here, right now, every Monday.
I don't know why. You've said that very similarly for a very long time now, and this was the first time where all I heard was like the right here, right now. You know that song?
Wait, hold on. Is that Dane?
Huh? What? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I can't see you through all this smoke.
Are you talking about the fact that our country is currently on fire?
Yeah, we're currently in a city that is the third worst air quality in the world. So that's fun. Sorry, continue. I don't know that song, and I don't know why it's today. Maybe it is smoke inhalation has gotten to you.
It's true. I mean, not to bum anyone out or anything, but someone did just die in a fire near me. So quite literally, the city is on fire and it's bad.
That's not good.
Yeah.
As Nelly once said, it is getting hot in here. Actually, it's getting colder because apparently smoke does that because it blocks out the sun.
It is, yes. It is getting cooler in Toronto, which, hey, maybe that's how we solve global warming.
Yeah, we just burn everything and all choke to death.
We just find a country and set it on fire, and that's the fire country now. And this is how we make the Avatar.
Perfect. Ready for a question?
Yeah.
I'll start us off with a user-submitted question.
Hmm.
And it's one of our, shall we say, what's the word? Returning? Our champions? One of the champions? One of our celebrity guests? One of our consistent posters? I don't know. They're a fucking legend. You've heard them before. It's the return of Pinoy Boy Toy.
I'll edit in some applause here.
Hell yeah, I was kind of waiting. They say, "Hey boys, how's it been? Hope you're doing great. I have a dilemma now. For some reason, I've been attracted to 3 women who are in long-term relationships. The first 2, we had a great connection, but I didn't pursue, even though both ladies would react and comment to my stories and would ask to meet up. I knew I could take them away from their boyfriends, but chose not to out of principle. Both eventually married said boyfriends, and one of them keeps flirting with me each time we meet. Don't worry, I won't do anything to her, especially now she's married. However, the third lady is not yet married and is totally my type. She's smart, successful, plays golf, and we've been chatting back and forth for weeks. I met her at a golf fundraiser, and she recently invited me to go play golf with her in a few weeks. I couldn't resist, so I said yes, and even challenged her to do karaoke after. She agreed. Now I'm stuck with this moral dilemma again. She's not engaged, and this is her first boyfriend. From what I'd gathered from our common friends, their relationship is rocky at the moment. She's taking her master's 15 minutes away from my place, and I'm frequently tempted to invite her over. What's your take on this? I really like her and would like to explore a relationship with her, but I know it's not right. But I feel like I'll regret it if I don't act on it the same way I felt with the first 2 girls that got away."
Well, I mean, you did kind of answer your question when you say, you know it's not right.
Yep.
And unfortunately, like, I could give you suggestions of being like, you know, just being honest with them and being like, hey, I find you very attractive and I do feel like there's a bit of a connection. And I feel like maybe hanging out is a bad idea because I'm a little more invested in this than you are. And, you know, pushing the brakes there because you're not sort of giving them an ultimatum. You're not really giving them you're not telling them to break up with their boyfriend or whatever. Mm-hmm. But you're being honest about your attraction. You're being honest about your feelings. And you're also taking the route of being like, I don't think this is a good idea for me because I find you very attractive. I'm attracted to you. I like you. And you're in a relationship. And I feel like that is an unfair thing for me. And I think it's unfair for you and your partner. So I want to pump the brakes. And then that puts the ball in her court. Mm-hmm. She can do whatever she wants with that information. And you've done it on a way that is, it's not manipulative. It's not like you're not trying to steal away or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's confident and it's honest.
Yeah.
And it's arguably kind because you're letting you're saying straight up what your kind of vibe of the whole situation is while stepping away, so you're not going, oh, I like you, break up with your boyfriend. You're saying, I like you, so we probably shouldn't meet up.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I think that is a very responsible. I think it's a very respectful way to do it. I think it makes your intentions very clear. So if for whatever reason she isn't happy with her partner and she is interested in you, she knows that like, you know, your cards are on the table. You've shown her your hand, and if she wants to, you know, fold on her relationship and start playing with you, that's fine. That's cool. But if not, then she knows, you know, where your mindset is. And I think really that is kind of as far as you can go in terms of making a move.
Yeah. And I think you then also need to be ready for if she is like, oh, I don't mind, or like, my boyfriend doesn't have to know, you say no. Because like that is not a good move for anybody. It's not good for you. It's not good for them. It's definitely not good for the partner. And it's like, if you want to fuck someone, you could probably fuck somebody else. But this is no way to start a relationship. You know what I mean? So it's like, if a relationship is the goal you're looking for with this person, cheating on them with their partner is going to suck shit because you're never going to be able to trust that person. Like if you're dating them and they go play golf with somebody else, what are you going to do? Be like, no, you can't do that. Because that's how you cheat on your ex-boyfriend and got with me. You know what I mean? Like you're never going to be able to get that out of the back of your head, and it's going to be the worst way to begin things. So if the only reason to go through with that would be to hook up with them, why not just hook up with someone that's not going to be all this drama and stress and shitness? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I mean, like, it looks like that's not really an option for you. It sounds like you are more posing hypotheticals of being like, I don't want to miss another chance. Because you do say at the beginning of the question, like, you know, on principle, you never made a move on these other women. So like, great. We know you are like on the right side of things in this scenario. I just want to make sure that your past regrets don't cloud that judgment, or you don't do the mental gymnastics that a lot of people do when they want to make a bad decision, where they're like, well, I behaved in the past and that didn't work. So now I'm going to, you know, skirt the edges of what I believe is right in order to get something that I want. As long as you don't do that, I think you're okay. And it doesn't sound like that's what you're trying to do.
And the thing is, it's like what you did worked out because you're a good person and those situations continued how they were meant to. You know what I mean? The only other option would have been you broke up a relationship, caused drama with their partners, and then presumably that relationship would have failed because, again, that's not a way to begin a relationship. So you would have gone through all this turmoil and stress just for a fuck when you could have just slept with somebody else. You know what I mean? So like, think about that. If you start going, oh, like I missed out before. It's like, you didn't really. The only way you would have missed out is if those relationships had ended and they had approached you in a way that was like healthy.
I think that's a really good point. I think the idea of, and this is something that happens, I feel like, a lot with people who are in a relationship, or in your sense, attracted to people in relationships, where you feel like you've missed out, where you feel like, oh, I'm dating, I have a girlfriend and this person that I'm attracted to is single currently and I'm missing out on that opportunity. It's like, well, you're not. You're missing out on sort of like the reality of you could both be single and maybe you could hook up, but that's not missing out on an opportunity. It's, you know, like as Niall said, like it's just sort of like a situation that is currently happening in reality. So I think it's important to realize that like what you're currently dealing with and the current circumstances of people's relationships aren't there to, they're not the sole opportunity for you, if that makes sense. Like I'm trying to figure out how to like phrase this where it's like not every single person is waiting to be fucked by you or be dated by you.
Yeah. And again, it's like, the only way you would have missed out on an opportunity in this case would be if different things had happened. Because again, like I don't think that's what you're looking for is to steal them away and like have sex with them once or twice. You know what I mean? Like, because that wouldn't be good. And again, you could just do that with somebody else if you wanted to. Whereas like in this way, it's like, it's almost like rose tinted glass where you're looking at what could have been, but that's fiction, you know? It's what could have been in an alternate reality, you know? And you know you're on the right side of things, which is great, which is good. You know, but don't let like that weird like voice in the back of your head that almost, you know, corrupts the past and makes you think things could have gone differently. Cause like, yeah, it sucks when the things you want don't happen, but like it's better to be realistic about that and continue to be a good person than to start to twist the past and act poorly in the future, because that's not going to work out the way you wanted either.
I mean, I think that's another really good point of being like, I think at the end of the day, at least for me, I would rather look back and be like, fuck, I missed out on a really, a potentially, hot hookup with someone or a relationship with someone, but not at the cost of my personal integrity and how I feel about myself. Because if it's like, sure, you might not have the regret of being like, damn, I should have made a move. But I think the regret of being like, I made a move and that makes me, has permanently tarnished how I view my personal worth and integrity. I made myself a bad person for that opportunity. And I think that is far more detrimental in the long run than kind of looking back, as Niall said, with rose tinted glasses at being like, oh, what could have been? What could that hookup have been? Like that, I would rather do that than be like, I wish I didn't do that.
For sure. Yeah. And it's part of being realistic with yourself as well, because like if it had been that great, you probably would have done it. And you didn't do it because morally it would have been a shit thing to do on top of other reasons. So just be firm in knowing that you made the right decision when you did, and it's like if they got married, hopefully they like this person well enough that despite what might be flirting, they probably wouldn't have acted on it. So you might have just put yourself out there and it sucked anyway. Or if they got married to someone they didn't particularly like, then it's probably best you avoided that person. So again, win-win.
I think you've got the answer. I think you just kind of needed to hear it from a third party. Don't do anything that's going to compromise your values. Don't do anything that you're going to regret and feel like you've made yourself a bad person or you're going to regret because of a decision you made. Take the loss and acknowledge the fact that, maybe not every opportunity is something you can jump at. Mm-hmm. And take the opportunity to be honest and be vulnerable with this person. Let them know how you feel and let them know that like, hey, I don't think it's fair to keep seeing you. I really like you. I'm really attracted to you. And that would put me in a bad position. And I feel like it could also put you in a bad position. And that's not something I'm interested in. Yeah. And that's kind of like where you have to leave it. And, who knows what happens.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If for some reason they really like you and things aren't going well, then that's a pretty good push that they might need to be like, you know what? Fuck this guy I'm dating who maybe is bad. And then they might call you up or not. And that's fine too, because as Dane said, not every opportunity is for everybody, sadly.
Yeah. So good
luck. It just
luck.
makes the other opportunities all the more special.
Oh.
Yeah.
Stay true to yourself. You know what to do here. You know the right answer to this. And I hope that we have given you the backing and the moral support you need to continue making the right decision.
Mm-hmm. And thanks for writing in. We always love it. And also, on a side note, love the karaoke part of this, by the way. Always a great move.
Love it. I love it. I don't know if you know this about Niall and I, but we like karaoke.
Quite a lot.
I go almost once a week, sometimes twice. It's
right,
a problem.
Hit us with that next question.
Okay. This comes from Miss Carm. I had sex for the first time today, but my partner fell asleep when we were cuddling after. Is this to be expected? We did it twice, but he only came the first time. I also expected him to last longer. The first round was maybe 10 minutes. He was hard before that, though, when we were making out. We made out for like 15 minutes before we had sex. Does that factor into how long he can last? He's had 5 other partners. Also, when does sex start? During foreplay or actual penetration?
Okay, so him falling asleep, he was obviously comfy, cozy, maybe tired. Having cum can often make you drowsy. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't worry about it.
It is almost so typical that it is like a punchline in pretty much any sexual relationship on screen, or not that validates any sort of sexual reality, but like, yes, it is very common that people doze off after sex, also especially twice.
It's not bad. That's not a bad thing. It sounds like you're upset almost, or like not sure if it should be a good thing, but like it's definitely not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's a sign that he's comfortable. Yeah. Yes.
They're happy. They're warm. Like they've got that warm after sex glow, and he went out. Like that's wonderful. So let's establish that. It's normal enough, and it's a good thing.
Yeah, you should be very proud of the fact that this person was able to like let their guard down and like doze off with you, especially while cuddling. That's so nice.
Exactly. Like it's just good thing after good thing. 2, lasting 10 minutes.
Well,
What's
hold
wrong
on.
with that?
I want to keep talking about cuddling for a second.
No, we're done. Fuck cuddling.
I would say it would be a problem if there was no real effort to make sure that you were satisfied. If it was just sort of like pump, 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 come, roll over, fall asleep, then I think, yes, you would have grounds to be a little bit like, well, I need a little bit more.
Well, then they would be the bad joke that TV shows would make.
Yeah.
And I will say it is maybe not telling, but it is concerning that she talks about him coming, but not about herself.
Yes.
So I don't know what to do with that, but hopefully they have made the effort. But again, it's like, if you guys just slept together for the first time, the odds are probably not in their favor, but then that is really the only time it would become an issue. Or if like you guys have plans after and all of a sudden he's just comatose and,
Now let's move on to the 10 minutes.
10 minutes is fine, especially if you're thinking like any time is fine, right? In a way, there's no like, oh, you have to hit this number and it's great, because times and people and sensations and timelines and everything all change. So it's like, if you're dissatisfied with 10 minutes, presumably that's because you didn't come. And if that's the case, 10 minutes or 15 minutes isn't necessarily the answer, or 5 minutes or 20 minutes, there's probably something else at play. So
yeah,
I wouldn't worry over much about the time once the deed is getting done in a way that's satisfying for you. And if you're concerned about 10 minutes, I assume that isn't getting done.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has like the orgasm sort of like clock of being like, I need to have sex for at least 20 minutes before I can come. Exactly. I don't really think that's, again, I don't want to speak in absolutes, but that's not necessarily or typically how the body works. Generally, the body requires, stimulation, arousal, and then a very specific or not specific, a set of actions to come. Mm-hmm. And very rarely is it like, I have to have sex for this amount of time, and that's it. That's the only...
Yes. Time is always a factor because no one's just touched and it's like, well, there you go, done. Or again, we're not going to speak in absolutes. I'm sure it happens. But like, usually it's things happening for a certain amount of time, but when it's the right thing, that's the important part. So I would do your best to not shame them for their length. Secondly, if it's your first time together, it's always going to be more intense, and you don't know each other's bodies in terms of you not having an orgasm, and for them, maybe nerves or being extra aroused, etc.
And also, it's weird that you mentioned how long he lasted the first time, but didn't talk about how long he lasted the second time.
Yeah, when presumably it was longer if he couldn't finish.
Yeah, right?
Unless he couldn't maintain the erection. I don't know.
Yes, yeah. I would like a little bit more details on the second round, because some people are very, very kind of need to get that first round out of their system, because it is very intense and they're very sensitive and tend to come a little faster than perhaps they want to or their partner wants to, and then go back in for round two and sort of finish the job for their partner. Right? Because I also don't want you getting hung up on the fact that he didn't finish the second time. Just because he didn't finish doesn't mean he didn't enjoy it, doesn't mean that he finds you any less attractive. Sometimes we just can't get there, and that is totally normal, totally fine, and probably not your fault.
Probably just hopped in too soon in his refractory period to finish that second time, which again is very normal. I feel like we're dealing with so many different threads here. And a lot of it is like guesswork. And I guess the last part is just, when does sex start?
I would say the second you start getting hot and heavy.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird question, because arguably, why does it matter? Firstly,
well, I think it is because they are hung up on this 10-minute time frame, right? Yeah. So they're like, well, yes, we only penetrative sex for 10 minutes, but
we did make out for 10 more minutes.
Yeah, or if I go down on someone for 10 minutes, I would definitely include that as part of sex. I am receiving pleasure, or I am, giving pleasure. If I get a blowjob for X amount of time, that is part of sex. I'm not like, hey, this doesn't count towards our sex time.
For sure. It's also going to definitely cut into your sex time, because they are oiling that engine.
Yeah. And sex isn't just penetrative.
No, not at all.
Right? You could it's called oral sex. It's very much part of sex. Foreplay could be all the sex that you have. You could just, I could just finger someone, make them come. They could give me a hand job or a blow job, make me come. And that we've had sex, We haven't had penetrative sex. It's something that I think is really important. And I think something that is currently now coming a little bit more into the zeitgeist of the sexual world, of people being like, there's more to it.
Yeah, there's a very heteronormative view of like a decade ago that still persists of like sex is dick and vagina. And it's like, that's cool. You're just
a decade ago.
Well, I mean, like, it only really started to change, I would say.
Okay.
Ago, you know what I mean? Like,
I was like, I think that went back a little longer than a decade. But yes, you're right.
No, but I feel like up until about a decade ago, there was like, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. You know what I mean?
I know.
Or
I thought you meant
no.
I thought you meant it the flip side.
No.
I thought you were saying that like
only recently we started to get heteronormative. And thank God, finally. No.
Finally. It's about time we had our time to shine.
I know, right? We're straight pride. I can't even finish that. Fuck that. Also, happy Pride Month.
Yeah, I don't think we've mentioned it.
Because we're idiots.
Because time doesn't mean anything. And the second we enter into this closet, we are in sort of like a space-time continuum that everything and nothing is happening.
I blame the smoke inhalation, honestly. Happy fucking Pride Month. To
Happy Pride, y'all.
Everybody who celebrates, and to those who don't, go fuck yourself.
Okay, I think we're more or less done with this question, right? Because I do want to talk about pride.
I just want to say to take a fucking breath and step away from. It sounds like you're overthinking things, but it also sounds like I don't know, like the terminology. It's like you want to be able to tell someone, I had sex for 20 minutes, or like, you know, like we fucked. Like I listened to a song and it said we fucked all night long. We haven't quite gotten there yet, and it's like it feels like you're worried about the wrong things, and it feels like you're worried about like the performative aspects of sex, or like you're just a little corrupted by the media or friends who talk shit. And that worries me because it's not the way to have a healthy sex life. And that's just my concern. So it's like, fuck how long it takes. What matters is that you're both enjoying yourselves. And it's like, if you didn't have a great time, then it isn't, hey, can you last longer next time? It's what is lacking? What do you need more of? You know what I mean? Is it that you need more foreplay before you dive in? You know, maybe you just made out and then he put his dick in. Is it that you need to be touched in a certain way or whatever? You know what I mean? That's far more important than just like stats.
Yeah, if you like, I would be far less upset in terms of duration if I had a really, really hot like make out and then, you know, I went down on them or fingered them and they came really hard. And then they proceeded to give me this incredible blowjob. And then by the time we had sex, it was only like 2 minutes of like really intense.
Oh, yeah. You're like, so fucking sensitive at that point that you're like, we probably shouldn't even waste the condom, but you do it anyway.
Yeah. Like if that's my sexual experience, I'm not like, fuck, we only had sex for 2 minutes.
Exactly.
I'd be like,
it doesn't matter.
I would roll over content, happy. Like you have to start looking at sex as like a whole. And I think that's really the crux of it.
You
like
put your dick in the hole. No.
You know, everything that Niall just said, absolutely. Start thinking about, you know, your needs and what you need for them to be met. And then like zoom out and stop thinking of penetrative sex as the act and look at it from a much like a macro scale, you know what I mean? And see everything, see the whole experience of, you know, the foreplay, the fingering, the oral, the blowjob, the like everything. That's all part of the package. And if you're both finishing satisfied or, you know, trying your best to do so, then great. And if that's an hour, cool. If that's 25 minutes, great. If that's 10 minutes, who cares? It doesn't matter. If you guys have both done your best to make each other finish or have made each other finish, who cares if it's 30 seconds? Who cares if it's 2 minutes? If you guys are both sexually satisfied, it doesn't fucking matter.
And the thing is, just because he might have come doesn't mean things are done either. You know what I mean? If you need a little bit more, ask for that. Because again, does it matter if he finishes you with his hands or his tongue? No, not really.
No.
And like, this is just once, or I guess twice. You know what I mean? So it's like, you guys have time to build up, but it's like, once you communicate and are focusing on the right things, you'll get there. If you're hung up on like, oh, you've got timer and you're just looking at the timer and you're like, damn it, I still can't talk to Martha about fucking all night long. Like, what's that?
Yeah.
So that's all I want to say because it pinged, it like hit the warning signs for me. All right, let's talk about Pride.
Let's talk about Pride. Pride is a very important time. It's something really important to myself, and I know Niall as well. We have a bunch of queer friends, and as straight people, Niall and I are both heterosexual, and it's a really important time for people like us to amplify queer voices, listen to queer problems, and acknowledge that we are currently in a time that is very, very, very bad and dangerous for a lot of queer people, and especially trans people.
Yeah.
And as much as Pride should be a celebration, and it should be a moment to remember the people who came before, the queer, the gay, the trans, the bi, people who fought and died and struggled in order to get to where we are, which is admittedly far better than, a decade ago, 2 decades ago, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
although, don't worry, Florida are doing their best to fuck that up.
Yeah, Tennessee. There's a bunch of places currently, and like Canada isn't immune to it either. There are a lot of people who mirror the sentiments of a lot of the rhetoric that's happening in the States, and I'm sure worldwide.
We're like what, one bad election away from things getting very fucking hellish here too.
Yeah.
So I want people to think of that when they're voting for fucking Toronto mayor, and in every election that they go into, be like, cheaper taxes, but also maybe fucking promoting genocide. Speaking of macro views, step out of your own ass for a second and think about the needs of others.
Yeah. So what I wanted to talk about, what I wanted to bring up is, don't just put your blinders on and say happy Pride and wear a rainbow pin and go to the Pride parade and have a good time and get drunk and call it a day and call yourself an ally and call yourself a supporter. This is mostly directed at straight people. Because I know, I don't want to tell the queer community to not enjoy a month that celebrates them. And
you heard it here first, guys. Have a bad Pride. Dane Miller.
I want our straight friends and listeners to take a moment and talk with your queer friends. Listen to their concerns, listen to their problems, and think about how you can be a better ally. And more importantly, educate yourself on the things that are currently happening. The amount of times I mention either like the Tennessee drag ban or the Florida trans bills, or the fact that there is something like 187 active anti-LGBT legislature currently in the American, courts and stuff and Congress and etc. I think that number is actually a lot higher now, but last time I saw it, I think it was like 187. I think, I'm not sure, but I'm sure if I looked it up now, that it would be considerably more. Those things are like things that we need to know and things that we need to be aware of and things that we need to actively add our voices to combat, to squash, to make sure we don't vote in the people who are promoting those things. And it really does take all fronts. And the point of privilege, as straight people, we have the privilege of we never had to fight to marry the people that we love. We don't have to worry about holding hands on public transit and who might that trigger. We don't have to worry about going into a bathroom and worrying if someone is going to kill us.
Yeah. We don't have to worry about seeing our representation on TV or in books or anywhere. It's not like, oh, wow, there's finally a straight person in that advertisement. Oh, wait, people are protesting. It's gone now. Also to those people saying, why isn't there straight pride? Listen to what Dane just said. That's why there isn't straight pride.
Because, one of the, I heard someone make this point the other day. I can't remember who it was, but they were like, if you're watching a TV show and it opens on a kid or a commercial and he pours a bowl of cereal and, a mom and dad walk in and they kiss each other and they say, cereal. No one bats an eye. No one says, hey, why are those parents straight? Why is it a mother and a father? Why is it a husband and a wife? No one asks that question.
Let alone freaking out that they kissed.
Heaven forbid. If it's gay, I mean, think about 20 years ago, it'd be a big deal if that was a white parent and a black parent.
Yeah.
Right? We would all be like, what is this? So the point I'm trying to make is we need to fight for our trans friends. We need to fight for our queer friends, and we need to be smarter and more educated and more vocal about it. And there's a number of ways you can do this. You can donate to charities that specifically, help out queer youth. You can look into charities that support legislative funds for fighting and combating the anti-trans bills. There's a number of ways you can just share and amplify queer voices who are sharing their point of view. Yeah. And spreading knowledge is just as effective as throwing money to a cause. Because again, a lot of people don't know this is happening.
Yeah, and the thing is, not only letting people know this is happening, but also letting bigots that support that know that you're not their people. Good. Make them feel alienated. Make them realize that the tide is not with them. Because I think a lot of people either don't share because for various reasons who do support the message. And it's like, while I know that's not malicious, even just having someone look around and realize I don't know, it's good to show your support, both for those you're supporting and those who are actively trying to harm those you're supporting.
It's an unrealistic goal and viewpoint to think that we will be able to crush all transphobia. But what we can do is make it unsafe for people to be transphobic. And that is kind of like the point. It's a big reason why, we never stopped racism and we never will. But shaping society so that being racist is dangerous to the racist is kind of as good as we're going to get, unfortunately. Like in a very pragmatic, realistic way, that's as good as we're going to get. There's always going to be a piece of shit who's racist. There's always going to be a piece of shit who's homophobic or transphobic. And I know I've kind of been ranting about this for a little bit, but I want to make one more point. And that is, if you are someone who supports gay rights, but balk at the is that the right word? Balk?
Depending what you're trying to say. Yeah. Like shy away from. Or,
yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
If you're the kind of person who now is like, but I think the trans issue is going too far or whatever, you're wrong. And I think the best demonstration of this, and I saw this illustrated, I think I saw it on TikTok or something, was someone showing a graph of left-handed people. And it was like rock bottom until we stopped making being left-handed the sign of being a cursed devil person. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it skyrockets and then plateaus.
Yeah. And like people aren't choosing to be left-handed. It's just now it's safer to be left-handed. And it's
exactly.
That's why people all of a sudden are like, these trans people coming out of the woodwork and we're poisoning our kids and all this shit. It's like, no, you're just making them, you're not punishing, people are still trying to fucking do it. But the second people have like a little bit of that room to grow into what they always were, you're going to see it more.
Yeah. It's the same way. It's like, it's not like a bunch of people were more gay. It's not like we created more gay people, but it was just...
The funny thing is, you will hear these fucking right-wing idiots be like, that's what we're doing. It's like, come on.
Yeah. So I just want people to be aware of the fact that, like, if you are now on the fence about trans rights, there's a very good chance you would have been on the fence about gay rights. There's a very good chance you would have been on the fence about segregation. There's a very good chance you would have been on the fence about like things like slavery, of being like it seems like these people are afraid of changing the status quo, where like they're willing to accept the things that we as a society have already pushed through and broke through and won.
Like, look at me, I'm progressive. I'm supporting issues that are not that hot topic anymore. It's not a hot button issue. I can earn my society points by being like, I'm cool.
Yeah, it's like, gay people can get married. Why not?
Something that's as important, but is currently on the front lines. I don't know about that. Like, come on.
Yeah. So I just want you to take a moment to educate yourself, because there's also a lot of like the reasons why you don't believe in trans people or like don't think it's real or whatever is like, the biology. There's so much science that supports trans people. There is so much science that supports the importance of gender affirming care. There's so much scientific studies that show that gender affirming care saves lives. Mm-hmm. And if you care about kids and you are against children being able to get gender affirming care, then you don't care about them, because trans people are killing themselves at an exponential rate. They are being killed at an exponential rate. And it is 100% because of our inaction. And it is because of the fact that they don't have the support system that they need and deserve and are like rightfully earned as other like fellow human beings. And that is
100%.
That is all I will say about that for now. It breaks my heart that people are at risk simply for being who they are.
Yeah,
And
it's fucked. I don't understand how, DeSantis, like, I cannot fathom that level of just disgusting evilness. Like, it actually, I cannot begin to wrap my head around that. And like, then there's the people that support him. And that's just a whole other level of it, I just cannot even begin to do it. So, sorry we get all dark and serious at moments there. I do hope everybody listening has an incredible Pride, and I hope you take this time to celebrate because it is so worthy of being celebrated. But I think Dane makes an incredibly important point that, like, don't just celebrate, especially if you're a straight person. Like,
Especially
do what
if
you
you're
can.
straight.
Do what you
I
can.
can't-
Even if it's baby steps, even if you're just starting to get into a run, you know what I mean? I don't expect you to wake up tomorrow and be the biggest activist in the world, but like, if it's one more thing tomorrow and it's two more things by next month, great.
Get on trans TikTok and listen to the actual stories of trans people and just absorb it, right? Just listen. And that is already so much for allyship, is just listening and hearing reality and facts and experience and listening to how important it is that we need to stand with them and support them. As Nell said, like, it's fucked that we're in 2023 and there is a group of people who are currently being attacked. Like, it just fucking blows my mind. And I always like to, whenever I talk about this kind of stuff, remind people that Pride started with a riot.
Yep.
And if they keep pushing, I think they're going to get another one.
For sure.
Sorry, I know that was a tangent. I know we kind of popped off there for a bit, but it was something I really want to talk about sort of like at the beginning of an episode or at the beginning of Pride. But no time like the present, unfortunately.
That's fair. Now, should we just call it there? I don't know if we do another question.
Yeah, you know what? Let's do another question as like a palate cleanser. Sure. I think a lot of people who listen to the show mirror our sentiment, or at least I hope they do, or at least I hope they're going to take what we say seriously and to heart. But yeah, let's do another question and sort of get back on track, and we'll end strong.
So this is a deleted user. My male 29 girlfriend, female 29, got mad because I let her be mad. Me and my girlfriend had an argument before a scheduled dinner date. After the argument, I tried to make it better by asking her if she still wanted to order some dinner and eat together, because there was still enough time to make it a good night and get over the argument. She barely responds and tells me she's not in the mood and she's still very upset. She's clearly pissed off and wants nothing to do with dinner anymore. So I tell her one final time, I can go get anything you want. She says, you go get your food and I'll go get mine after. So I leave and go grab sushi. I text her, I'm at blank, are you sure you don't want anything? It's her favorite sushi place, no reply. So I go back and I tell her, I tried texting you but no reply. She fucking loses it and calls me an idiot for not getting her anything. She tells me I'm incredibly mean for not even trying to call. I didn't see her text, but how could you not try to call me? How am I the bad person here? What can I do better in that situation?
I think this was a lose scenario for you from the get-go, unfortunately. Yep. Sometimes people just want to be mad and have an excuse to be mad, and I don't think there would have been anything you could have done to get out of this argument or this line of fire, because I almost guarantee you, if you called them, they would have lost their mind and been like, what don't you understand? I told you I didn't want anything. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think...
I missed the call. I missed the call and you just didn't get me anything?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was in the shower. I didn't hear my phone. Like, they know they're being unreasonable. They're just trying to take it out on you. That's shit.
And I have like a fair amount of firsthand experience of people realizing that they have done something wrong, and then instead of just apologizing, double down on being angry for the sake of being angry, hoping that, I don't know, the worlds will shift and reality will change and now they're on the right. And it's just like, it's easier to find a reason to be mad at you than to apologize for whatever transgression they did to start the fight.
For sure. Now you're the bad guy because you didn't get them food. And now we're not talking about the previous argument. We're not talking about the fact that I said I didn't want food. We're not talking about anything. Now you're a dick and you have to make it up to me and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's typical, like, abuser stuff where it's just like everything's your fault. Yeah, well, that's abuse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't a secret third option that would have been better.
No, and if there was, it would have been so far removed from like your pride and your sort of like you would have had to do so much going out of your way in terms of like what you are
Show up
comfortable with.
one of everything and be like, you didn't answer and I love you so much that I got you one of everything. And then I'm sure it would have been like, well, I would have wanted 2 of this, but whatever, I'll let you. Like in a healthy relationship, arguments happen, whatever. Sometimes you can be heated. You might be like, oh, get your own food. I don't want whatever. I'll sort my own thing out. And then maybe they leave and you go, fuck. I do want sushi. I'm an idiot. But then when they come back without your food, you don't go, fuck you. That was a test, the thing I said. You go, you suck it up and you deal with it, right? She said a thing and she can't stand by the thing and now it's your fault and you didn't do enough. Like, fuck that. That's not right.
I will say that like I think the issue here is also if you have an argument and the person is still upset, then the argument's not over.
Yeah.
And, like you haven't resolved the issue. And it's fine to need space after an argument to be like, I need to process this. For me, it drove a lot of my partners crazy, but I often said like, hey, I want to take a second and formulate my thoughts so that when we have this argument and we share our sides, it's not just us saying things in the heat of the moment, which have nothing to do with the actual problem. I want to take a breather. I want to give us a moment to both calm down and think about what we're really upset about and what really the problem is, so that when we talk about it, we're talking about the problem and we're coming at it with level heads and like formulated thoughts and not, I'm just going to try to be angry and hurt you and win this argument, no matter what the cost, regardless of what we're talking about. Because that's the biggest way for things to go bad is to like just jump into an argument and fight.
Now, I will say though, if you got to eat, you got to eat. So it's like, and maybe this was the point where like, if you guys don't live together, maybe you should have just called it, right? Been like, look, I think I'm going to go home. As Dane said, like, we need space. I'm going to take a breath, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes it is a lost cause to try to salvage the night, as Dane said, before the argument is over. Sometimes it's not that quick, but that doesn't really, like, I don't know. Unless the lesson here is to learn when to let it lie and step away. But I think the real lesson here is to find a different partner.
Yeah, I don't think there's any harm either in being like, hey, so we need to talk about this. I know you're still upset, but the way you treated me was super unfair. And I think I sent out enough, like plenty of olive branches to smooth this over. Even though we were fighting, I still asked if you wanted to do dinner. You didn't want it. I asked if you were sure. You said yes. I asked once I was at the restaurant, I was willing to still pick it up, and you said no, or you didn't answer. I was like, that's a lot of me reaching out to you and quite literally nothing coming from you. If you wanted to resolve this problem, it's a two-way street. Like, I can't read your mind. I can't guess the magic solution. I can't come up with the perfect phrase or speech or action that will solve this. If you need something from me, communicate it. If you just need to be left alone, that's fine. But don't penalize me and get mad at me when I do that.
Yeah, especially because you literally did what they said. So it's like a very good piece of advice if you're in a relationship is either say what you mean and what you want, or do not get angry at people for taking you at your word. You don't have the right to say something and turn around and be like, yeah, but I really meant this. It's like, well, fuck you. Like, unless it's a very obvious case of sarcasm in a non-heated situation, you're like, yeah, I would love to get stabbed. And they're like, all right. And you're like, no. Then
no, I was joking.
But we all know that. So don't be that person.
And I think Niall is right. And this is the scenario of like, if you bring this up to them and you're like, hey, I was really unhappy with how we resolved that. Going forward, here is how I would like to resolve any issues that we have. And here is how I want to be treated when we're having these kind of issues. If they then go fucking wild and accuse you of being the bad person, I think you've realized here that you're not in a relationship where you're seen as equal. You're in a relationship where they're always going to be right and you will always be wrong. And no matter what happens, it doesn't matter whose fault it is, you're going to be the punching bag. And that sucks. And I don't think that's a relationship you should stay in.
Yeah. And like on the flip side, if this was a one-off thing, people are dumb when they're mad. If it's a one-off thing and afterwards you talk and she's like, I'm sorry, I was being shitty, and you move forward and this isn't a pattern, yeah, people can make mistakes in the heat of a moment in an argument, right? However, if this isn't the first time this has happened, and as Dane very importantly said, if you try to talk about this and it's another flare-up, yeah, get another fucking partner, because this is going to be hell and it's never going to stop. You're always going to be second-guessing everything. And even then, there's not going to be a right answer. So believe me, been there, done that. Get out of there.
It sucks.
It sucks shit. It will sap your will to live.
Yep. That's going to do it for this episode, friends. Thank you very much for hanging out. Once again, happy Pride. Do we want to do a little quick state of Tinder? Just like I'll pop on and we'll do a live swipe. We'll do a couple profiles.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it. At the end of the episode, we like to hop onto online dating platforms such as Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge, peruse the profile, see what works, see what doesn't work in an effort to make your online dating experience a little more enjoyable. And recently, we've been doing a state of Tinder, where I just open up the Tinder app and we see what's out there on a real-time basis. Mostly what we're looking for is really bad profiles, which are common, or profiles that just have nothing. This is Rachel, 25. She does have a profile.
Whoa.
It does say, what a weird little thing around my neck. Now, you might be thinking, what is she talking about?
I am, in fact, thinking that, but I was letting it marinate. What she got around her neck?
Hey, let me tell you, nothing.
That's terrifying.
There is one picture where it looks like she's wearing a very small necklace.
Yeah. That's pretty standard to put around the neck, though.
Pretty
actually
classic.
It's actually in the name.
Yeah, that is kind of exclusively where necklaces go.
Now, do you think she forgot? You know the way sometimes you're like, oh, it's like the hand thingy, and then you're like, oh, a glove. Is she like, it's a weird little thing I put around my necklace?
Yeah. Or maybe it's meant to say, what's a weird little thing around my neck? And you're supposed to sort of like,
my dick.
Okay.
This is
either
awful
way.
and confusing, but I will say I'm probably going to give it a 9 because I want to ask her what the fuck she's talking about.
I mean, I'm not giving it a 9.
But you want to reach out, don't you?
I will say it's a 6.
Can you swipe
Because
and
it's-
ask?
I will.
Okay.
Do I have any super likes?
Just say, what are you talking about?
I have a super like stored. So I'm going to say, what are you talking about in regards to the thing around your neck? I'm so confused and
I'm scared.
I won't be able to sleep.
No, don't give them that power. Now they'll
Yeah,
withhold
I'm so
it.
confused and a little scared.
And you know what, guys? We'll keep you updated.
Yep. If I match with this person or they feel like they should let me know what they're talking about, I'll let you guys know. You'll be the first to know. Next one is Alicia. They say they do, once again, have a profile. And it is, pack up, let's go, airplane emoji.
That's it, huh?
That's it.
It's not great. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I'll give it like a 3. Like,
Yeah.
I guess I know they have travel and are enthusiastic, or they like travel and they're kind of enthusiastic, but that's it. It's like, also, I'm not going to pack up and go because I just met you.
I love people who put on their like Tinder profiles of being like, where should we go on our first vacation? It's like the least appealing. I love traveling. The least appealing thing that I want to do is go on an adventure or like an adventure, get on a plane with someone I don't know off of Tinder. That sounds like hell.
For sure. Like,
The list of people I want to travel with is already
it's just me.
you.
It's just me.
much.
Fuck
Yeah.
you all. No, even like, it's kind of like moving in with a friend, right? They could be your best friend, but moving in with them is still a whole different thing because now you're like confronted with them like day after day, and it can take down even the strongest relationships. Travel is like that, where you need to have the right person to travel with. Not everybody is that person, and a stranger probably isn't that person at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like a 3.
Yeah. 3 is generous, but it's not offensive. And I feel like that's where we go for 3s.
Yeah.
This is Willer. Or, no, sorry. Immediately corrected. Pronounced as Willow. PSW graduate. K-pop aficionado. Disabled witch. Loves Star Wars, Luna, and other gay shit. Hit me up with your credit card details.
I like it. And they've given me enough to take the sting out of what could have been a bad line. Hit me up your credit card details. I get enough personality. I think they're joking.
Yeah.
And they sound fun. So I'm going to give it like an 8.
I still think that is more of a hindrance to this profile than anything
Yeah,
else.
it doesn't really fit the vibe, but the rest of it is good enough that like it doesn't ruin it for me. It probably would have been a 9 if they'd finished with anything funny.
Exactly. That's like, I feel like you've given me like all this like flavor and cool stuff and things, which usually is a ping for me of being like, but with everything else here, I get a vibe of being like, you seem rad as hell. You seem really fucking cool.
Yeah.
But then you hit me with like the most basic Instagram follower farming bullshit of being like, hit me up with your credit card. Like it seems so off brand where I'm just like, now I don't know. Now I'm not sure.
It's enough that didn't ruin it, but it's definitely taking it down. You know? I don't think it's ever funny. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand where there would be any joy in that, but it also doesn't seem to vibe with their very down to earth and cool other rest of the profile. So I am confused. I don't love it, but I like it overall. 8 is probably generous. It probably should be a 7, but given what we've had on live Tinder trolls, I'll give it the 8.
I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay, well, you took my answer.
This will be our last one. This is Mariana, a emoji of their sign. I don't know what it is. I think it's Taurus.
Who fucking cares? Negative
1.7356. And I think it's a Portuguese flag. I don't know what I want, actually. If you were a stripper, what song would you use for your debut?
Is that it?
Yep.
The stripper thing's funny. At least it's going to start a conversation. I don't know what I want.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a good one. That sucks, but I think the opening is enough for me to be like, you know what? I'll give you a chance.
Yeah, I will say the star sign is never great for me. The height, kind of weird.
I feel like at this point, like, people putting height on their profile almost feels like people feel obligated to do it.
I don't think women feel obligated to, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, like, I know guys do. I met a guy the other day who's like, I have the best Tinder profile ever. And it just says like 6'4" Australian. And like, apparently it works really well. And they were like, I definitely don't need to listen to a podcast to get better at it. And I was like, well, if it's working, it's working. Go for it. But like, I don't see women needing to do that.
Yeah, the only time I really understand why women put their height is if they're like 6'4".
Yeah, if they're super tall and they want to get out ahead of people being surprised, sure. But like, I don't know. It makes me feel like height matters to them. You know, like they're putting it in there as like a warning. Like, if you're 5, whatever, you got to be tall. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not enough for me to like really care about.
But I do like the stripper thing, so I will give it a 7.
I think
maybe
7 is a
6.5.
Yeah, I think 7 is where I would go with that. Thank you very much for listening, friends. That's going to do it for our show. We love you. We appreciate you. Once again, happy Pride.
You know what? I think we're going to do our Pride episode next week.
Yes?
Why do you sound confused? I'm asking you.
Oh.
Right?
Like we'll record it next week.
Yeah, it'll be out next week. They'll hear it.
No.
What?
We haven't recorded a Pride episode.
I know. I'm saying we'll record it next week.
Yes. So it won't be out next week.
Yes, but when they hear it, it will be.
Oh.
They're not here, Dane.
I get you.
They're not here.
Yeah.
I just wanted to like get some questions if people heard it.
I understand what you're saying. Yes. Yeah. Again, time means nothing.
Are you cutting that?
No, we'll leave it.
Okay.
If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at fbuddiespodcast.com. Click the contact page. You can give yourself an agent name. It's completely anonymous. We'll answer your questions. And if you like the show and you want to support it and you want to help your boys out, feel free to head on over to the Patreon. Again, fbuddiespodcast.com. Click the Patreon link or patreon.com/fbuddies.
Hell yeah. And if you have Pride questions, we usually record on a Wednesday, so try send them in early, but also send them in anyway. Doesn't matter if it's a Pride show or not. Give us that gay shit, as that profile so nicely said.
The gayest shit.
Give us the gayest shit. Every fucking week is Pride Week.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Are you ready?
You got some for
some bad sex writing? This is going to be a Tinder profile.
Ooh, I love that.
It's of a gentleman who I will not name for their safety. Looking for a sugar... Oh, no, wait. This is not it. It's still a Tinder profile. This is Daniel. I will name him. Fuck it. There's a lot of Daniels. You effing women. Are you stupid or what? I'm here trying to offer you servitude and worshiping, and you just plain refusing? You deserve to be treated bad by other men, because you are right stupid and delusional. Effing women. You don't like good stuff. You deserve to be treated bad by assholes and arrogant men.
Is he actually writing effing?
He's writing effing EFFING, which is just... I would say the worst, like, that makes my balls just cringe. And he's looking for a long-term relationship, but short-term is okay.
Yeah, because I imagine anyone spending any amount of time with you wants it to end immediately in the shortest term possible.
Like, yeah, the short term that he'll be getting is someone seeing this profile and going, ah.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing?
And you know what? That's enough for Daniel. My name is Dave Miller.
And I am Niall Spain.
And we've been your fuck buddies.